Hi, folks. Pastor Eddie's back again with another quick thought. How about that? We'll go with a thought. Um, if you see any of my previous videos, you will see that I deal with Bibles every single day. We have 100,000 plus used bookstore with books and Bibles. I have seen many translations. I believe we're up to close to 500 different types of translations that have been made since the printing press, if I understand it right. But it's a lot of translations, and I have used many of them. I also am very fortunate that from the time I became a Christian, I studied the Greek New Testament. I had a professor who turned out to be my father-in-law tell me that study your Greek and you will cut your study in half, which means that you won't, that doesn't mean that you're going to study half the time. It just means you don't have to deal with English stuff, English translations, all the biases that are in the English translations. And we do have biases in the English translation. So I'm very fortunate that I can look at the original language and work through that and come up with, I believe, would be the best translations. But I also know not everybody can do that. And I get that and I understand that. So I'm trying to help people have the right perspective on translations. I could not number the times. We've had this store 30 years in Englewood, Colorado, Christian Used Books. You can find us at christianusedbooks.net. But we've had it for over 30 years, and I don't know how often people have walked in and try to tell me what the best translation is. The best translation is. And I just want people to understand that there is no such thing as the best translations. Most of the translations, let's just say all the translations, have issues that you can debate about. They have biases all over the place on certain doctrines. And so you have to do better than that. We can't just trust what people have done for us. We have to research it for ourselves. And so all I want to do is deal with this issue of the best translations. There is no such thing. And one of the things I try to tell people is that I get professors in here. I've met high-level students of Hebrew and Greek. And anyone who really knows the material or understands the text of the Bible and translations would never say, this is the best translation. You can't really say that. We really have to do our homework here. And I'm always amazed how people think that there is a best translation. No, there isn't. I use a New King James, and it's not because I believe the New King James is the best translations. I believe the New King James bases its translation, I know, on the majority text, and we try to use all the available manuscripts that we have. And so I use that as my starting point. But I find in certain passages and certain translations, they do a much better job. Deuteronomy 32:8, only in the ESV and NLT, and I think the Catholic translation, the NAB, they translate Deuteronomy 32:8 as sons of God or heavenly beings, versus 99% of translation use the term children of Israel. And if you think about it, one is talking about a very supernatural idea, sons of God, angels of God, and the other is talking about human ideas, children of Israel. So you need to go look and see how you're going to translate that. And I can explain to you why they do it, but I'm not trying to get detailed into this right now. So translations, have their strengths and their weaknesses. One of the things that recently I've been perturbed by, in a good way, is that we get so many revisions. The NIV is on its second or third. I can't keep track. The ESV, it's on its second. New American Standard on its third. The Amplified on its third. I mean, and all these translations end up, going away from their first editions. What's so bad about that? By the way, the New King James hasn't had any updates since it came out in the early 80s, at least the complete text. But why is everybody updating and the New King James doesn't? Well, there hasn't been any new findings, any new Greek manuscripts for the New Testament. There hasn't been anything that we can say, oh, you know what, we need to update it because we've got some new information. No. What you have is people getting paid to give you their opinion about the text that we've had for years and years and years and years. Nothing new has come by. And so I always look at that and say, wow, third updated edition of this translation. And I'm like, wow, what did I miss? They must have found something. And it's not necessarily that simple, but I just want you to know those are where the biases come in. Somebody gets paid to translate the book of Ephesians for a certain translation. And guess what's going to creep in? Nothing new. It's just that, hey, maybe they've done some lexicon studies or better word studies on it, but they decided, hey, I want to translate it like this. So anyways, I just want you to know there is no such thing as the best translation. Okay? Get a good translation, a good literal translation of the Bible, and begin there and start to work. So again, I believe some of the better translations, New King James, New American Standard, ESV, Holman Christian Standard, and obviously the Old Standard, KJV, are very more literal translations than some of the others like the NIV, Living Bible, NLT, CEB, CSB, not CSB, CSB, Holman Christian Standard changed their name to CSB. Instead of the H, it's CSB. But there's lots of translations. So just do your homework and don't buy into this idea that there's a best translations. No such thing. When someone says there's a best translation, they're saying to you, my bias is this translation. Thanks.